Hey, what's going on, everyone? RAMCCALL here. Welcome back to the journey to $1 million in monthly revenue for the business RAMCCALL. And just to kind of put this out there, so I know I haven't updated this channel in like a month or two. Just so y'all are aware, like I had a real bad case of sickness, I'll just put it that way, this past month. And then I also moved to a different city. And then, obviously all these Google updates, it kind of screwed a lot of people's websites. But anyways, in short, I'm back and ready to rock and roll. So if you guys want the short version for the journey to $1 million in monthly revenue for the business, so in October, because I don't think I recorded that, so in October of 2022, which is about 2 months ago now, I made about $1,600 as opposed to $3,000, and I would attribute that obviously to seasonality of website one, and then both websites seem to actually get hit pretty hard by the spam update. And then I also added obviously website three, and then that one got put on AdSense in the following month after October. And so to recap on that, from October, I made about $1,600, and then last month, which is the next month from October, November, I made about $777. And again, I think that's because of the spam update hitting both websites pretty dang hard, if I have to say, and also seasonality. And so that's a short version, and let's get into the overall portfolio. So one thing I wanted to call out, so one thing that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, I have, in addition to just two websites, now I have like 6 websites that I've sort of seeded from profits from the first 2 websites. And I think this is kind of a good approach because they're obviously in different areas, different like topics, if you will. They're covering different things, using entirely different writers, a little bit different approaches as well. I think as you start to build more of these online businesses or just anything in general, the more you do it, the more you learn from previous mistakes and can apply it. Hopefully, better practices going forward. So I'm using a different content source for pretty much all these websites now, as opposed to what I had been using. So I had been using Writer Access, and the writers on there are phenomenal. But for my particular scenario and situation, it's more of a brokerage service. So you're basically like having to manage all these writers and give them like SOPs or like standard operating procedures, and basically telling them how to write for your business. And then you have to communicate with them and like revoke certain submissions and like request different things. So I just decided to kind of say, hey, I don't really have time for this, and I'm just going to be leveraging some of these fully managed services that can write for you. You just kind of give them the topic, they do all the topic research, meaning like all the subheadings, and just make it as close to the topical relevance as possible. Basically, just cover the topic nice and thoroughly. Those 2 are Passion Posts and then Content Pit. So I'm actually trying those out on website 5 and 6 currently, and I'm also trying them out on website 4. But for websites 1, 2, and 3, those have primarily been built. So basically, this whole like journey up until right now has been built by Writer Access. And so just because some of these websites got hit, I wouldn't say that the quality of the work is bad at all. I actually reviewed quite a bit of the work and made sure to get valid writers, if you will. I just happen to think that these updates that are coming out are hitting some sites pretty hard. Some sites aren't getting hit at all. Some sites are being rewarded. So it's really out of your control, to be honest. And actually, it's funny, a lot of these smaller websites, so website 3 all the way up to 6, have actually improved since all those updates. But of course, just the way life goes, the stuff that's going really well gets hit. So the journey continues, in other words. And so to kind of recap on the revenue, the overall revenue has obviously gone down for the portfolio. So it capped out at about July of this year, of 2022, at almost $5,000 a month. And that's within like the span of about 7 or 8 months. So I'd say that's pretty good. And then it obviously started decreasing for 2 main reasons. Number one, seasonality. Website 2 is not seasonal at all up until it got hit, but website 1 definitely is. And so I would attribute a lot of the increase and then decrease in traffic and revenue from the blue shade you see right there, from website 1 seasonality. And I think it also got hit by the spam update as well, but not as bad as website 2, I'll just say that. So as far as like all these other factors that are, in my opinion, contributing to these like monthly revenue statements and their decreases, it's obviously these updates. So if you look on any like website YouTuber right now or publisher or whatever that blogs about their little journey, much like I'm doing right here, they're going to be talking about how all these updates are just totally wrecking their sites, or maybe not even doing anything at all, or actually maybe even increasing things. So basically what I'm saying is these updates, the helpful content update of I believe September or August, and then the September core update, and then the October spam update, which really wrecked site number 2. All of these different updates coming out sequentially are impacting search results for the entire world, basically. And so one thing though that I've also noticed is the click-through rate and the average position have actually all improved, as opposed to just everything increasing. So what I mean by that is, like, even though a lot of these websites like website 1 and 2 have decreased in overall like Google Search Console performance, it's funny because the click-through rate has actually like quadrupled and the position has gone like to like position 5 or something. And so my theory, I think, is that maybe you're not even really being penalized by Google at all. Maybe you're just showing up in more accurate and fine-tuned search results. So maybe you're, ranking for a lot of things that you really shouldn't have been ranking for. And so that's just kind of a theory, but obviously it sucks to have a lot of these figures go down, but that's just the way things work. So as of October, like I just covered at the beginning, it went down from 3,000 to 1,600. And then from October, the spam update hit, and then that cut traffic in half, basically. And so that brought it down to right under $1,000 of last month. And so, as you can see, though, with website 3, it has about 150 articles, I believe. It actually got accepted into AdSense, and the RPM is doing pretty good. It's like 12, almost like 15 for RPM just for AdSense. And it got added like 3/4 of the way into November, or at least I like enabled AdSense like halfway through the month, and it already generated like $71 in revenue. And so I'm recording this actually December 8th, and so that's why you see the slow uptick in December right now. And so one thing I decided to kind of cover and share for my own benefit and for y'all's benefit is the revenue per post. So this is, in my opinion, like as concrete as it can get in terms of like how much you're making on a per post basis. And this can kind of do two things from first glance. One, it can kind of highlight areas where, or in this case, like websites that are doing better on a per post basis, meaning like you're getting a higher return on your investment for everything you pump out, all else being equal. And then number two, it can actually show you the actual numbers. So it can be like $1 or $2 or $5 or $6 for each of these little color graphs right here representing a website. So I just think this is a kind of a good way to kind of assess where you're at in terms of revenue potential. And I obviously recognize that, revenue may not be everything, but it certainly is a common theme I've seen among obviously this journey to $1 million and everyone else's revenue report online, basically. And so this, again, gives you a pretty quick way of determining what's working, what's not working in terms of your revenue. But you also want to, pay attention to how many page views you're getting, because perhaps if you get a lot of page views, then or a lot of traffic to your website in general, then you can certainly try to monetize it that way. But again, that still ties into revenue per post. And so to kind of recap on website 1, 2, and 3, because those are the ones that are currently producing results right now in terms of like revenue. So I didn't really have time to go through and manually click on each of these categories and determine like which one has X amount of revenue coming in. But just by looking at the graph, you can kind of see, despite everything going on in terms of seasonality for website one, as well as the updates that have occurred, a lot of these categories are still on a percentage basis staying quite the same. And so this, if you can see my cursor, this category right here, ever since it got monetized through Mediavine, has held steady pretty consistently, more so than these other ones. And again, this is just like a good ballpark estimate to kind of understand the data and like where everything's coming from. So as far as revenue per post on website 2, same thing. Although some are increasing, meaning like some categories are increasing, some are decreasing, some are, staying the same. If you look at the orange graph, but I really believe that if you didn't do this or like have any idea of what's going on, then as an example, this category right here that previously would have kind of neglected, if you didn't represent it right here, you would have no idea how it's performing on a percentage-wide basis. And so this can kind of highlight once more how things can change month over month. And if you're doing your planning on a month-to-month basis, or maybe even like a quarterly basis, then you could take all these insights and kind of apply it going forward. So as far as website 3, so AdSense, I don't know if they let you dig deep into the revenue on a per post basis. So I just decided to throw up the page views per post. And so again, same thing works for your traffic. So let's say you're not really monetized, or let's say you are monetized even with Mediavine, and you still want to understand which posts are bringing in the most traffic, then this can certainly do that. But a strategy I kind of have employed going forward is, before it even gets monetized with Ezoic or Mediavine, things that can kind of show you on a per post basis how much you're earning. If you want to try and make the most out of whatever you're doing online for these websites and creating traffic to them, I would recommend more than likely to create something like this. Same exact thing as the revenue per post, but it calculates the page views per post. And so right off the bat, this yellow category, even though the blue one has more traffic to it, just because it has more posts, this actually has less posts, but it's getting more traffic on a per post basis. So that basically means that if you were to produce more of this content in the yellow, then you would actually be acting a lot more efficient. What is that, like 20+% more efficient than if you were to just streamline everything into like this category, the blue one. And so I think that's why it can save you a lot of time and money, basically, and help you like take these insights and kind of apply them again going forward. And then for website 3, since this one is the one that doesn't really seem to be getting hit too bad by Google updates, just kind of representing it right here. So it's already almost at 10,000 page views with only about 150 posts, and I hope to see that increase. And then also one more thing I wanted to call out too, that I don't think that I touched on, and that I think a lot of people may kind of wonder, like, what if your website gets hit by an update? So I think this one actually did get hit by an update during the summer, because it was increasing all the way up until May. And then I think there was like an update around that time, and then this one basically lost all of its traffic for like 2 months. And then it's like overnight, literally, you should see the Google Search Console. It like was a flat line, and then all of a sudden it just popped right back up, and then it was basically on a roll. So I don't know if this is a common thing. Be kind of curious to hear other people's thoughts and experiences, but this is just something that I did experience on this one website, even though it was only at like 400 page views at the time. But if you have like a website that's pulling in thousands every month and it gets hit and you lose like 80% of your traffic, then something like this can be kind of encouraging to see. So anyways, that's about it, guys. It's a pleasure being back. Hope you all been doing well, getting ready for Christmas and the holidays and everything. For my American friends, hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And if you guys want me to cover anything differently, or just let me know in the comments. But until then, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.